All right, we got all of us here tonight. Let's go ahead and get this meeting called to order a little bit late. Thank the crew of Rescue 21 for showing off the new rig to us. We'll start this meeting with a pledge to the flag. Director Gould, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start with the Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14 with replay on Saturday, June 24, 2017 at 12 noon and Sunday, June 25, 2017 at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Meetings can also be seen webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Right now is the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the jurisdiction of the district, whether or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Do we have any questions about the consent calendar?
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the group, I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
and Wood.
I'll abstain.
Motion passes.
Moving on to action items. Ms. Pania, you have the election of representative to SDRMA's Board of Directors.
Good evening, directors and Chief Harms. Before you this evening, there is the opportunity for you to vote for up to 4 candidates. They will serve as your representatives for the Special District Risk Management Authority's Board of Directors. Their term begins January 1st, 2018 and ends December 31st, 2021. Metro Fire is eligible to participate in this election because they are a member in good standing of the general liability portion of SDRMA. We received the election ballot instructions, an official election resolution ballot, and the candidate statements of qualifications. They were included with the staff report. The Governing Board of Metro Fire will cast a ballot, if they so choose, for up to 4 candidates, and they will do so in a public meeting. And I would like to mention now that you do not have to take action this evening. If you would like to move this to another meeting, you have the chance to do that and take more time to review the candidates. So long as the ballot is returned by the deadline of Tuesday, August 29th. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. President.
Yes, Director Gale.
Wasn't that a deadline before? I was thinking some other date? Not August, May something.
Not that I'm aware of, and the materials that were in your packet talk about the ballot being returned on August 29th.
But the application, I thought I saw something that May 21st or something like that. No? Maybe it might have been something else.
Yes, we had the CSDA region around that time in the spring, so it was a different election process.
Director Gould.
Mr. Chair, given the candidates that I see here, I think it's incumbent upon us that this group have a fire-based, at least one of the representatives be from that, so I'd be comfortable with Michael Karen.
Do you have a motion that we...
Sure, I can make that into a motion.
Yes.
What is the motion? I don't understand it.
So we're supposed to pick up to four candidates for this particular board of directors, and this body elects up to 4 candidates, and I'm suggesting in my motion that we select Karen as one of our potential candidates.
Who is Karen's? What's the qualification? You just arbitrarily do that, or?
No, you arbitrarily read the report that they provide.
What is the process within the district?
We are given backgrounds and information on them in our staff reports.
So
Their
the statement of qualifications for Mr. Karen was included in your packet.
I think I read it.
Okay, well, he is a director for the Apple Valley Fire Protection District, and within the packet, he talked about why
Again, he's a candidate.
he is not an incumbent, but he is running.
I read that.
Okay?
Okay, Director Gold, do you want to finish your motion?
Stands.
You have make a motion that we vote for Mr. Carn.
That's still the motion.
And we have a second from Mr. Kelly. Would you call for the vote, please?
Director Gale,
No.
Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Barnes,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and Wood.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I have another proposal for my board of directors. Are you familiar with the silver bullet? In order to more give Mr. Karen an opportunity, I say that we vote for the fire district candidate and no others.
Use all 4 of our votes for that one individual.
Well, we don't get to vote for him 4 times, but we vote for him. That way, if we don't vote for the others, they don't have a chance of gaining one more vote that may displace the candidate that we are more concerned with putting on that board.
So that makes sense.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just a thought.
Director Gale.
Well, no,
Director Jones, sorry.
no worries. Thank you. Director Kelly has an interesting idea there, because in looking at it, the other folks that I would suggest would be the incumbents, simply because every CSDA, every LAFCO organization, including the state association, speak very highly of SDRMA and the work that they have done. So that would fall back upon the incumbents, and usually those incumbents would have the additional vote anyway. So I'm inclined to go with Director Kelly's idea, but that in no way denigrates the good work that the incumbents have already done.
Thank you very much. So,
Would you like me to make a motion?
Well, we have
we have the motion voting on the one. I just think at this point now we just don't make another motion, correct?
That's fine.
We just move on.
Excellent idea.
All right. All right. We'll move on to reports. President's report, I don't have any, but I do thank Director Barnes for sitting in my absence last meeting. Appreciate you handling that. And we'll move on to the fire chief's report.
Good evening, directors, President Wood. Just a few things. As you've all seen, is just with the weather going on. It's been quite a few days with the members and the activity has been way up. Everything from grass fires to structure fires to EMS calls, and ops will talk more about that. I will say, though, over the last 48 hours, we've had 3 members that have had trouble with the heat. If you look at the operational side, they've all done as we expected of them, is limit their activity and try to hydrate. But because of call volume and structural fires, it caught up with them. They were all doing well and were released and hydrated. And again, that's the support of the members that are out there day in and day out. A couple things, the AMR units that are operating within our system, we've been able to reassign some of those units back closer within the district. And on July 1st, some of the ones that we're assisting with Sac City will all be deployed within the district as we move forward. Recruitment open right now is Fire Inspector 1, Facilities Technician, and Firefighter Paramedic. External is open at this time. We have a promotion for Roman Cleats, who is our planned intake within fire prevention. We've had a few people that have we're sad to see him go, but had some opportunities, and we're able to take those opportunities and move forward. I was in D.C. this week and spent some time there on a board and a program looking at the healthcare providers for firefighters. Is the docs, the PAs, the nurse practitioners, and looking at the system that's been in place for a number of years, but what was the opportunity to improve that system. And we spent 2 days in D.C. With quite the diverse group of going through, and one of the neat things of doing that was to bring back some of the information that you pick up to talk with the folks at Kaiser and talk with labor with. We had for me, my first 2x2 meeting yesterday with Rancho Cordova. I thought it was very productive, and we have those laid out so that they will be every 6 months. And I know that Jill's putting together the time right now with Citrus Heights to continue and start back with 2x2s with them again. Save the date for the 29th of June. Next week for a promotional ceremony with 28 folks within the district that are being promoted. It'll be over at Rancho Cordova City Hall. A social hour at 5:30 and the ceremony starts at 6. We will, the July 11th through the 14th, just a reminder of fire camp, and that's over at Station 21. And then just real quick, I would like to have Captain Vestal come up and talk about the 4th of July and kind of the scale of events and a few other activity that are going on during the 4th.
Thank you, Chief. President Wood and directors of the board, we've often thought of target hazards as something that might be more static or at a fixed facility, for instance, the Tank Farm or McClellan Park, Aerojet. But what we did with this year was we took a little bit of a different approach, looking at the 3rd and 4th as a target hazard, cumulatively as more of a dynamic event. And where it started with the fireworks task force and then evolved through the arson program into prevention and operations, and we put together a single event action plan, or as we often call it, an incident action plan. So combining with the City of Sacramento Fire Department, Folsom Fire Department, Cosumnes Services District Fire Department, we put together a larger plan, multiple branches, and collectively included all those events. This is going to allow us to look at everything in its totality. And when we have something occur at one of those, all the incoming resources will be able to look at that and say, okay, who's already on site? What's the plan for this? So the first one, we have 6 fireworks shoots that are occurring on the 3rd and the 4th, 3 on each day. And on the 3rd and 4th, we have one at Hagen Park in Rancho Cordova, and that's the biggest one, upwards of 30 to 40,000 people each day. So when we looked at that, we're going to have an inspector assigned from prevention, we're going to have bike medics, and we're also going to have a pretty robust operational plan. So we looked at traffic in and out, once an incident starts, how traffic's going to move in, how resources are going to move in, and just that whole route. The other shoots that we have are Rancho Murrieta, La Sierra, which were both on the 4th, and then the Del Paso and Northridge Country Clubs on the 3rd of July. Other resources, our bike medic teams will have 2 on for each day. We'll have a full set of public information officers from our agency as well as the others. Our Boat 65 will be staffed, and as well as the Arson Task Force. And the Arson Task Force starts up staffing on June 28th and continues through the 5th. Locally, or with our own resources, we have 37 community events on the 3rd and the 4th, which range from parades and barbecue cook-offs, just appearances for our staff. And those should be coming to you very soon. We're working on a better way to notify you and get those to you so you can see them. But there is this bigger plan, whereas in the past we had an Arson Task Force IAP, we had an Operations IAP, and then we had kind of a operations level talk between the ops chiefs from the other agencies. Now everybody's going to have that. We're going to be able to see what prevention's doing, what arson's doing, and what operations is doing. Any questions?
Any questions for the captain?
Just one comment.
Yes, sir.
At Hagen Park, you got one road in and one road out.
We do, but there's also Ambassador as well as Chase, and then there's also accesses along the bike trail, which we can use as alternate methods.
Good deal. All right.
Thank you very much, Captain.
Welcome.
Looking forward to good 4th.
Good 4th.
Good
That
and
ends
safe
my
one.
report, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for the chief? All right. We'll move on. Operations report, Chief Quinn.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Chief Harms. Chris Quinn here with the Operations Report. On behalf of Chief Bridge and the Operations Division, Chief Bridge is actually on a deployment in Cancun, though. also called his honeymoon, and couldn't be pulled away.
Water safety.
So absolutely, could not be pulled away, even though I know he misses this meeting very much right now. So anyway, from the operations numbers, we've had 4,170 calls since June 8th, the last time of our meeting, and 16 of those were structure fires. As the chief mentioned, we're definitely having an increase in activity as the weather warms up. Our members are working hard out there. Year to date, on the EMS front, we've had 54% of the patients that have been transported were billed as ALS transports, with 46 as BLS in nature. Comparatively to last year, which was 53% of the patients transported were billed ALS and 47 were billed BLS. So you can see it, they've upticked by a point in ALS direction versus BLS. As far as Metro transport specifically, since our last meeting, we've had 1,984, over 2,910 dispatches on the medical front, with a transport ratio of 68.2% on those calls. Our good partners at AMR have had 235 transports, dispatched 367 times, with a transport ratio of 64%. So that seems to be holding there. Of other significance on an EMS operations front, there are two good trends to note that the EMS staff was able to produce for us for this evening. And that is, first, the average minutes per medical incident per month, so time of dispatch until AOR available on radio, is decreasing. So that's a very good trend. It's the lowest number since 2015. We saw that at the beginning of this year in January, we were looking at about a 54-minute turnaround time, and now we're seeing 47 minutes as a turn time. While at the same time, probably due to seasonal effects and lack of a flu period going on, as well as we're going to hope some other things that are in play, we're seeing wall times diminish. So what that means, that ultimate result of those two factors, we're seeing quicker turn times, which overall result in a better coverage capability for the citizens of our fine district. So that's great there. A little bit of an expanded operations brief this evening. We're also going to just provide a little bit of background, additional information on the incident with Copter 2 for your edification today. And this is on behalf of the Air Operations Division and Chief Neville. He had some family in town tonight, so helping him out on that front. And then we do have in the room today our fine chief pilot of that program, Monty Van Landingham. So a big testament of what we see here and the success and the outcome is due to that, the members that are on that crew, and obviously led by Monty and his experience. So we'll go over a few things here this evening. I believe you've all received the press release on the incident. There's a couple of things to note. That originally the aircraft was assigned to support this fundraising charity event for Shriners at the Auburn Airport on the 16th of July, or should say June, but June, to perform a rescue hoist demonstration flight. Once again, it's the reach of Metro Fire going out and assisting our partner agencies, and with that ability to do that. We had an assigned crew out there. Chuck Smith was a pilot in command on that day. Co-pilot was Monty Van Landingham with Ryan Ross, Ed Henderson, and then, of course, they were flying Copter 2, which has been mentioned. Copter 2, as you see it there, is one of our two available helicopters, and they went up there to perform this hoist operation. Been done many times. Lots of training goes into this. This is a program that is with crew members that are very well versed in these types of operations. So they arrive at the Auburn Airport. Basically, they perform their demonstration, and then after that was done, they conduct their briefing, and then they're going to go ahead and depart as scheduled and head back into service. Here you see the picture of the type of demonstration being done, a hoist operation off of the copter. This is something that would be done to rescue or recover somebody that could be in the mountains, somebody a flood victim, those types of things. Downed firefighter on a wildland incident. Very, very capable. So they complete the hoist operation. They return to the airport basically to reconfigure. They move positions as is customary to put crew members in particular seats so they're ready to deploy in different fashions. And so they went ahead and did that. On departure from the aircraft, about 1900 hours, they were en route back to McClellan. When at 300 feet, obviously the pilot felt some feedback that was not customary for how the normal flight control surfaces work. However, again, with experience and with exercise drilling and knowledge base, they were able to recognize what was happening fairly quickly. They got master caution lights, segment lights illuminated. And at this point, you had the chief pilot, again, at the request of the team earlier, knowing they were going to do this operation, they configured the aircraft such that not only did they have a very high-time senior pilot flying the aircraft, but they brought the chief pilot along, knowing that, hey, we're going to do this demonstration, we're going to do this up the hill. Additional safety measures just absolutely make sense. When you can plan for it, let's plan for it. So chief pilot was in the back, made the call, advising the crew to immediately turn back to the airfield, while he himself and the TFO, Ryan Ross, completed the emergency checklist for hydraulics failure. I think what's important to note here is that while it's not required, Metro Fire customarily makes sure that all those members that sit in the TFO position or the left seat of that aircraft are familiar with the operations of that aircraft and its emergency procedures, down to being able to, function in the role to assist a pilot in command. So that is very key here in the program. So prior to turning back on the downwind leg, the checklist is completed, but did not solve the hydraulic system failure. So on the downwind leg, Ross declared an emergency to the airport, customarily letting them know they have a mayday, they're coming back into the field, make people aware. And Smith indicated he was having extreme difficulty moving the flight controls. At this point, Van Landingham advised the pilot to expedite the maneuver. So at this point, there's not what would be normally required in this situation, is to land as soon as practical. But we're not looking at practical now. We want to get the aircraft down and get it down safely. So he made the call to expedite that procedure. Great call, obviously. Smith then advised that he may need assistance on the flight controls, which, again, in other types of programs, that wouldn't necessarily be a required skill or knowledge base of a TFO. But at Metro, it is. When you have time to train people, you train people, because things can happen. So they get on the flight controls. They're still unresponsive in nature, and additional force was required to make them do what they need to do to get the aircraft down safely. Despite the difficulty moving the flight controls, they're able to maneuver the aircraft and make the final approach to the taxiway. But at 40 to 50 feet, and obviously pretty low airspeed there at 40 knots, the aircraft entered a nose-down attitude. Again, the pilot asked the TFO to help with applying control measures to be able to countermand that nose-down attitude and get the aircraft down safely. At this point in talking with the chief pilot, Ryan was already on the controls. They were ready to go. This is that cockpit resource management. We had the pleasure of hearing from Sully Sullenberger when we were in Phoenix at the conference a couple weeks ago. This is stuff that folks that are well-oiled in the job that they do automatically just react and start doing things because of that training. The aircraft struck the ground in that rather nose-down attitude, bounced back to a nose-up attitude, struck the tail boom. It rotated 90 degrees. Through the efforts of the crew, they were able to stop that aircraft from entering what could have been a dynamic rollover situation and bring that to a stop on the taxiway. Obviously, no injuries to the crew member. They completed their shutdown operations, made sure everybody else around there was safe, and emergency responders came to go through their procedures. The area is then secured as is customary for investigation, all the appropriate staff notified, people mobilized to do what we need to do to make sure our members are taken care of, and then that we secure things for the appropriate authorities that would look at the incident. So in the post-accident, or in this case, incident, because that's what the FAA has determined this, it's an incident based on their definitions. This is what you see happened here. Basically, where you see the scratches there across the yellow identifying lines on the airport, you see where it made contact, and then ultimately where it came to rest, slid up against the taxiway lights just off field. Here's the copter, and where it ultimately came to rest. You'll note when you look at it there, you go, well, it doesn't look that bad. Not really much happened to it. But obviously the issue is the skids are way out to the side. They normally would be in a more closer to the aircraft, if you will, the step, things like that. So there definitely was damage to the airframe. Again, you see this, that's the step that's just above the skids on the aircraft. They're out further than they would be. Normally they sit underneath the aircraft. But again, the aircraft are designed to be able to go ahead and take forces in certain areas to prevent further damage into the airframe. See some of the damage here again. This is the buckling on the tail boom. So likely we've been able to learn since in talking with one of the FAA mechanics. And again, we'll know more once we start to remove the skins off the airframe, or the aircraft rather. But this may be just, I don't want to say cosmetic, but this may be just from that motion of the tail boom and only have affected just the skin here versus any structural components that are up underneath the aircraft. So that would be an absolute positive. Again, here you see this is basically the stinger off the back of the aircraft. This almost looks like a tail hook in a Navy aircraft. The idea of this stinger is that it is down some. So when this aircraft is auto-rotating or performing additional maneuvers, say in the mountains or other places where it would work, if it did come down and the tail got low, this stinger is meant to prevent the ultimate thing that's not good to happen, is to have that tail rotor strike dirt or strike the ground. So it did what it is supposed to do there. And again, it has a shear pin and different things in there to be able to, take this type of damage, be replaced, those kinds of things. Here you just see the separation and really the covering. Just a few additional pictures for you to get kind of an idea. This here shows a crack. They've learned since this is almost like a firewall component up against the bulkhead. The mechanic has said that is, it's not a structural component. It's meant there to be, a firewall and to divide the areas within the engine compartment. So at this point, they made contact. The FAA approved an NTSB to go ahead and move the aircraft off the field. It could go back to its hangar space at 115. So crews then went last week and went through the process of doing that. So the skids no longer, they're not just going to Earl Scheib that thing out and bang them back into place. So the skids come off. So they've got to take the skids off because they stick out further than the airframe itself. Here's one of those, what you see in the background underneath the helicopters. That's actually the dozer, the lowboy, the dozer transport. So once again, members at Metro coming together, working together for the greater good of the community, in this case to get the aircraft back to where it needs to go and kind of put things back together again. So they're all working together to make that happen. So getting the skids off, and then this is Old College Oak Towing, of course, lifting it up and putting it on the lowboy. This was at Auburn Airport. Strapping it down, obviously, and then getting it to make its trip down the hill from Auburn to its hangar location at 115. So a couple things to highlight here that the FAA and the NTSB, and certainly if you have any questions, I would defer to, obviously, the chief pilot, but great kudos for the safety program and the record keeping, which, again, out there in the real world, not everybody is as disciplined and diligent as is Metro Fire and the team that is running this air operations division. So the standardization and training records were highlighted, the aircraft historical maintenance records, the pilot and crew member records, aircraft inspections. I mean, it's always in the after action that you see, they'll particularly go right down to what type of training do these folks have? Have they accomplished these maneuvers before? Have they practiced this? And the pilot in command on that day, which is who they specifically look at, Chuck Smith, had done all this. He had done it when they go off to Bell and do the training. They had just previously gone through those types of procedures. Now, keep in mind what happened with this aircraft is incredibly rare. To have that type of, in fact, almost unheard of is what I'm hearing. Not that you can't have a hydraulic failure, but the loss of control surfaces to that degree. So again, I think that's a testament that this crew, people say, well, I didn't even have time to panic. Well, we all see incidents where there's lots of times to panic. There's plenty of time to panic. We see it every single day, but in this case, that didn't happen. They just went back to their training and their experience. So the final investigation results at this point are a couple. It's not completed all the way at this point. However, it's been deemed an incident due to aircraft system failure of the hydraulic system, resulting in a loss of aircraft control leading to a hard landing with light damage And we're saying moderate at this point because we don't know yet, right? They're going to have to get some of those skins off, take a look at it, get an expert in that deals with that type of hard landing that would be on this type of airframe, take a look at it and see what's available there, what can be repaired. Due to pilot and crew member experience and training, no injuries occurred. Like I said before, there's people often quote, well, there's no time to panic. Well, we see people every day that find time to panic. Then this crew didn't, right? You have multiple folks that work together and operated just as expected when they needed to. So I think, again, what it highlights is, we're at risk, but we've said right from the time we took the oath that we'll risk a lot to save a lot. And these are fantastic assets. Keep in mind, we have two of these assets that fly and provide an invaluable service to our partners in the community and certainly members of the public. And so with that, just like when we're out driving on the road or a fire engine, these things are going to happen. The difference between it being a tragedy and being an incident are the fact that people, the members that are behind these programs, the support from the professional staff that keep the things running every day, from the mechanics to the oversight to the actual members that are on the aircraft, to the expertise of the pilots and their willingness to come to work for this great organization. Because again, pilots out there, they can go to a lot of places. And they're here because of the trust they have in this organization. We're fortunate to have them and to have that expertise. And we have an outcome that, while not ideal, we don't like to damage an aircraft, but we recognize that in aviation, there's a certain amount of risk. So if you don't have any questions for me, we'll move on to something else or the chief pilot.
Any questions for Chief Quinn? Director Gould.
Could you back up one slide, Chief? I think it's really important, that last comment. And that was a finding.
That's a finding, yes.
Yeah, I think that really needs to be reiterated. You did a nice job tonight, but at the end of the day, we can buy a new helicopter or a different one, but you can't buy lives very easily. And so, kudos to the staff and the pilot that made those kind of decisions, and I think we averted a real significant challenge. It's hard enough to keep the helicopter program going.
Right.
There's a lot of haters, but this is really about the quality of the individuals behind that. And I want to publicly thank the pilot and his crew for doing what they did so that no injuries occurred. So that's a big deal.
I would agree. There's risk, and kudos to the organization, certainly to the board and the overall member and leadership of the organization, that we're willing to take additional risks. When you enter into the business of aviation, there is additional risk. But the outcome that it provides for our citizens and our partner agencies to see that work and to see it stop an advancing fire, it's not going to put it out, but to see it stop a fire and to assist the members that are on the ground working, it's, again, today's military would never operate without aircraft, right? It's more than just troops on the ground. It takes a coordinated approach.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, I'm sorry, Director.
I just wanted to commend the staff. I'm very thankful that everybody was safe on the ground, and all those times that I got upset about all of those extra trainings, I appreciate it. So.
Yes, you know something about one of the members on that aircraft. So,
Mr. President?
Yes, Director Gale.
I would like to commend the pilot on that. I think we'll be very proud of him. Probably most of you might have seen it was a Korea-type movie, MASH. And helicopter pilots are kind of special anyway. And he did a great job, hot flight. And kudos to the pilot.
Absolutely. And again, I think it highlights the fact that even before the incident, our members knew to just do something a little more. Do something, bring the chief pilot along, do some things so they could identify, in this case, additional things happening, and it turned out successful. So with that, I'm going to move on to just briefly Rescue 21, which I know most everybody got the opportunity to see. That's pretty special. Again, that is a long time coming to make that happen. You just don't run down to the Ford dealership and purchase a rescue company. Obviously, it's the training that goes along with it. There's an incredible amount of time that's put forth, and so Chief Nitville wanted to make sure that I gave that credit to where that credit is due. you're looking at a vehicle that combines with the crew from Engine 21, and they roll out of 21 as a task force to serve the citizens of the district on a variety of missions, as was illustrated for you today, from anything from water rescue, vehicle extrications, obviously the fire component that we deal with as a primary function, confined space, and really what they do is provide solutions to any number of rescue problems that one's own mind could imagine. I mean, it really is a rolling toolbox, which is wonderful. But the big piece of that toolbox is the members that are on it that are able to employ the tool where the tool is necessary and to find the tool that is needed for the next mission. Chief Neville, with his oversight, wanted to make sure that we thank 2 key members of the unit who, without their dedicated work and professionalism, this resource would not be rolling the streets literally today as it's first out. These members made many a meeting and trip to inspect the progress and ensure what was delivered was the vehicle that would be worthy of the standards of this agency. And those 2 members are in the room today. And those 2 members, I'd like them to stand and be recognized: Craig Von Chance and Jason Watts.
Stand up, guys.
So again, I thank you for indulging me, and that is all.
Thank you very much, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Quinn? Thank you. Move on to Firefighters Local 522. Any report from them?
Good evening, Chief Harms and directors. I'm Barbie Law. I'm a battalion chief and one of the Local 5-2 shift reps. We have a couple of updates for you tonight. Tickets are still available for the Firefighter Burn Institute Tropical Fair, which is this Saturday, the 24th at 6 p.m. at the Shriners Hospital. Tickets are available online at firefighterburn.org. We also let's see, what else did we have here? The captain's exam test is scheduled now for August 15th to 18th. That's the retest of phase 2 and 3. We'd like to express our condolences to engineer Jim Mrozinski on the loss of his father. Retired Fire Chief Timothy Mrozinski passed away on June 6th after losing a battle with cancer. His service is scheduled for tomorrow at the Rockland Event Center. That's going to be held at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's located at 2650 Sunset Boulevard in Rockland. Class A attire is requested for that service, and that's all we have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you so much. Moving on to executive and committee reports. The executive committee has not met. We do not have a meeting currently scheduled. The Comm Center JPA, A.C. Johnson is not here. The next meeting, I'll read what we have here. The next meeting is Tuesday, June 27th, 9 a.m. And I don't have a location printed.
It's here.
It's here.
They haven't met since our last meeting.
Thank you, Chief. Moving on to Director Kelly, the California Fire and Rescue Training JPA.
Yes, the Fire and Rescue Training JPA met last week on the 15th. We discussed the training center. Meetings have been held with CalEMA and Metro Fire to make sure that the funding was provided to take care of all the additional things that need to be done to bring it up to the standards for, I believe, CalEMA. We approved the mid-year budget, and it is nice to know that the Fire Rescue Training JPA is no longer under the lease that they had at Tech Center Drive, and so finances are looking good for that organization.
Excellent. Thank you, Director. Mm-hmm. The Finance and Audit Committee who met today, Director Kelly, would you report out on that?
Yes, the Finance and Audit Committee met. Chief Financial Officer Thomas provided us with a report. Things look promising at this moment, and we look forward to things going well the rest of the year.
Thank you. Director Gould, Policy Committee report out.
Looks like the Policy Committee will be meeting July 13th, and yet to be determined is the time.
Thank you very much. Moving on to board member questions and comments. We'll start to my far right with Director Gale.
Well, July is going to be real busy for me. I'll be at a family reunion in Chicago, and I'll be in Baltimore as an NAACP representative. And, I'll be down to Napa for a conference for a while. And kudos, as always, I think we have one of the most effective bunch of people working in our fire department.
Thank you very much, Director. Director Gould?
No comment.
Director Orzali?
No comment.
Director Kelly?
I neglected to mention at the JPA meeting that former fire chief of this agency, Rick Martinez, is going to provide an administrative review of the JPA. And it was nice to see Chief Martinez, and it'll be good to see what he comes up with in his review of that organization. Other than that, my condolences to the family of Chief Rosinski, and I hope everybody out there has a very safe 4th of July.
Director Sheets.
I just wanted to echo what my fellow directors had said. Also, I had the privilege to attend the graduation ceremony. I wanted to wish the new probationary firefighters good luck. Also wanted to wish safety for our crews out there in this heat. I don't do well out in heat, so I feel empathy for you. And then I look forward to the charity event this Saturday. So it'll be my first one.
Thank you, Director. Director Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, congratulations to with the graduation ceremony for our new recruits. I attended that as well as the 2x2 at the City of Rancho Cordova. And I was very impressed with Metro's turnout at both events. It was terrific to see the support of family and friends at that graduation ceremony. And very pleased with the rapport and information exchange at the 2x2 with the City of Rancho Cordova. Very pleased, thank you, Captain Vestal, for the Fireworks Safety Task Force update, to see that it's evolving, working together, one team. I mean, that was the whole goal originally over 20 years ago, and it's still progressing and still improving, so thank you very much for all your work on that. And I'll see everybody Saturday at the Tropical Affair.
Thank you, Director. Director Barnes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to wish or well wishes for the personnel that work during this heat and this upcoming holiday, as people tend to take it a little too serious and fire off the illegal fireworks. So just look after one another. Prayers for safety for all our personnel as they respond, especially in this hot weather. I also look forward to the event this Saturday, and just thanks for all Metro Fire does. That copter crash, when we first heard about it, thank you, Chief, and everybody letting us know right away. I'm glad everybody's okay. But again, to echo what Chief Quinn talks about, it's the preparation, right, and to be able to act in times of emergency. So well done.
Thank you, Director. I will echo what's already been said, and I'm very glad that we had a very positive, or at least a safe outcome on that helicopter incident. And again, I will say it one more time, said it last time I sat in this chair. This will be my 4th Tropical Affair, and of the prior 3 I've attended, I've only seen Director Jones. So I hope to see more of you there on Saturday.
Well, that's because we avoid you.
And I hope everyone has a safe and sane 4th of July. And we will end this meeting with a moment of silence for Chief Rosinski after we come back from closed session. Thank you.
Strong
All right, we're all back. Council, would you report out, please?
Yes, thank you, Director Wood. The board met in closed session to consider three Government Code Section 910 claims. The first was the claim of Nancy Green versus Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. By unanimous vote, the board decided to accept the claim. The second item was the claim of Ings Solomon versus Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. The board took no action on that claim. The final claim was that of Tina Gallegos versus Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. By unanimous decision, the board elected to deny that claim and refer the matter to its liability carrier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council. Our next board meeting will be in this chamber on July 13, 2017 at 6 o'clock. And we're going to adjourn with a moment of silence for Chief Rosensky, who we learned earlier lost his battle with cancer this last week. Thank you.